Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the Unlaced podcast. I want to thank all you guys that are new here. Please, if you can, give us a like and subscribe. It's how we grow. If you are back again, you know I love you. Now, for those that haven't seen the last episode with Prime Train, I never thought I could meet a more beautiful human than me, but geez, he outdid me. He's a gorgeous looking man and an absolute superstar around the AFL scene, what he's doing in the community. And he's just massive on Instagram and TikTok. So please go back and check that episode out. Now, this is a big episode because we've got a goddess of the netball court in Madi Browne. Why are you laughing at that? It's a true story.
You're a sucker.
I am. I'm not going to go into our Instagram DMs leading into this, but Jesus, I did push the limit here to try and get you on the show. But thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
How are you? How's life?
Great. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Retired. My knees are shit. Yeah, living the dream.
Are your knees still buckled now, like day-to-day life, or is it better now that there's no pressure on them?
They are better. I think when the last surgeon, and he was like, look, you're going to have to think about a quality of life here. I mean, I know you love netball, but let's think about walking. I'm a lot better off the fact that I don't have to deal with it. But I guess my whole journey's been dealing with injuries with my knees or just managing my knees. So
fuck me, yeah. It's a challenging world, and your sister's not unbeknown to that too. And we've had her on this podcast, so I'm just curious if you're feeling a little bit of pressure because, as we said before, surprisingly, she had some really good numbers.
I'm not surprised. Why are you surprised?
Because I didn't expect anything. I didn't really know much about netball until she came on. I did all this research. I'm like, fuck, netball's actually massive in this country.
It is huge. Huge participation. I think nearly any female, you go to a family gathering, they're like, oh, I played netball, or there's mixed netball. Men's international netball is hitting the scene in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, it's going to be televised on Fox Sports. So it's it's starting. Everything's starting to grow. So
like
it's great.
A professional league of men's.
Yes. Yep. There has been for years.
Maybe there is a future for me. Yeah. Surely.
Watch out.
You know what always gets me, and this will be for the the non-netball fan that somewhat doesn't comprehend the game as well as most people, especially you. But like the obstruction and no contact rule, like that's where because it's even like they're not touching, but they still get caught a foul on. So that's where I think I would fall down. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people go, oh yeah, it's not contact. But then when you actually go watch it live, you're like, there's a lot of physical contesting, but it's then how you control that contesting. You go watch footy and it's like, bang, hit the ground. It's like, oh no, you got to get up in the air, you got to contest, you got to land, you then got to, get out of the way.
It's full on.
Yeah.
Well, just on your sister, you're obviously living with her now. How is that? And I guess for you as an older sister now, watching her play in sort of the peak of her career, how's that been too?
Well, first of all, the living situation. I think when we told mum and dad, they were like, oh my goodness, we could have one less child in a couple of months. But that's, I think, where they thought it was going. But growing up, Kelsey and I were always really, really close. And we have had a really strong bond. But then we kind of separated a little bit when our own paths tried to kind of, I guess, find who we were apart from each other. And then as we've got older, it's like brought us back together, and we're like, our relationship's probably in the best place it's ever been. Really? So yeah, it was like one of those things where I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. We kind of like love the fact that it's like, okay, you go do you, I'll go do me. If we sit and have dinner together, awesome. But when the door slams, you're not asking where I'm going. I'm a fully grown adult. Do not be my parent.
Oh, so you've got that separation good now.
Yeah.
You don't cross that line.
It's hard because we actually rarely see each other. So we obviously just went away overseas for 5 weeks, and it was literally the most time we've spent with each other.
How was that actually? How was the trip?
Incredible.
Yeah, you did a whole Europe trip with your sister.
Yeah.
You didn't punch on? Nothing?
Europe girl tings. It was awesome.
Europe girl tings. Where did you go? I know you went to Greece.
Yes, we went to London. We worked for a week, and then we did Amsterdam, Greece, 3 islands, Italy, and then Portugal.
Back to the Melbourne cold.
Yeah, and then back to the Melbourne cold. But even that, like once you get to know us, our personalities are very different. I was the planner. She just paid and enjoyed all the fun. So yeah, like it's like know your role, play your role when you come to us. Yeah. But living together has been amazing. It's been really good. Like we've got a great understanding of each other now, and so much love and respect. And I guess getting to go and watch her play. Yeah. I think maybe years ago it was like, oh, are we competing, against each other? But there's so much love and respect. Like I just want her to be the best she can absolutely be. Like I hope she gets back into that that Diamonds team. She bloody deserves to.
Yeah,
and
big time.
I hope she gets to go to the next World Cup, the next Com Games, and play as long as she can. So yeah, it's a real proud moment to get to sit there and watch her. And now that I'm commentating, I sometimes have the best seat in the house.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to caveat that answer with when you guys were young that you did reject her from a basketball shot and dislocate her shoulder. So there was a time where they weren't so loving, just so you all know. Kelsey did say,
competition was at its highest.
Yeah, and I can imagine her being the younger sister. You would have always been bigger and better at times, so it would have been hard for her. But your journey, like you've actually had one hell of a journey. You got a big story to tell.
I do.
And we don't really do modest on this podcast, so if you think you're going to come in and play a straight bat, that's not going to happen. Okay. But do you have people forgotten like actually how good you were at netball because of, I guess, how your career ended with the injuries?
Probably. That's fine.
I think they have.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know. Is there like been a better player over the last 10 years than you? Like,
yeah, absolutely
I'm
there
not
has.
having that.
Yeah, absolutely there has.
Really?
I mean, I guess for me, as I said, like going back to like injuries and stuff like that, I was 18 months old and I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis in my right knee. So at a really young age, my parents were told she probably won't be active, and Dad played footy and Mum local netballer. She's the worst in the family, but that's okay. We don't hold that against her. Right. Okay. 2 daughters playing for Australia and a husband who played for Geelong. So,
yeah, that's
and
not
she's
bad.
like, well, I played for Leopold. And we're like, that's great, Mum. But anyway, green and gold of a different kind, but not quite. But yeah, like growing up, I was told, yeah, probably not going to play elite sport, or, you know, sport might be good, but she's going to be on medication. You're going to have to monitor this. There's always going to be swelling around her knee. So I did lots of natural therapies, thanks to my parents. They were like, we're not taking the medication. And activity is going to be her medicine. We're just going to put her into sport. So I did swimming, athletics, netball, basketball, absolutely everything to try and keep this away or at bay. So yep, went through the player pathway, grew up in Geelong, and eventually made it to the big time. And 15 years in the career was probably more than I'd ever been.
Yeah, because you started really young.
Yeah,
which I'm going to go into because there was actually overlap with us.
Right.
I think did you make your debut like 2008?
Yes. Oh, well, 2006 was like...
Yeah, sorry, your debut, but you're in the Vixens in 2008.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was in the VIS for soccer, which we were in the Lexus Centre. So
right. So I was like, lift some heavier weights, man.
Yeah, which is really fucked because you're not that older than me, but like I was a child then, which is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, so like, I mean...
You've been around a while, around a long time. Yeah,
yes.
Kudos to you, because not many people get to play that long, especially on like hard surfaces like that. It's not built for the human body in some regards with the pace you guys move at.
And that's 15 years and 2 ACLs and a serious clean out at the end.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Do you know what actually really surprised me with the quality of netball with the females in this country is how quick the game is.
Yeah, so quick.
It's lightning. Like that in itself for me was like earned major respect because the decision-making aspect and the athleticism, I don't know if TV does that justice with some sports.
I don't think does that with a lot of sports.
Yeah.
I reckon you'd go to like motocross sports and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like the Formula One.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? You're like, what the fuck? This guy's going to die on that next turn, you know?
Yeah, okay, go a little bit faster. But TV, even cricket. I think when you're watching cricket and you're sitting there bowling and then you're like, what is that run up? Is that like 50 metres? Like, how?
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. TV does not do netball justice. So it's always better to go and watch it live. And actually just see, as you said, like it's such a small area to work in, and the decision making, the execution of skill, and their athleticism, like they're so quick to be able to change direction on a dime. Like it's really impressive.
Well, I'm going to do something that I don't think you're going to like very much right now, but no, because I think this is important for the listeners that haven't got a grasp of Madi's success in the game. And I'm telling you now, I shit you not, I have had to cut this list of achievements down because the podcast would have been done by the end of it. So I've picked the handful of ones that I thought were the most appropriate, but I'm going to run through them.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, so try
dodgy one.
Try not get
like, you've missed out all the good shit.
Try keep your head in the podcast studio whilst we do this, all right? Yeah. But Madi Browne, so career story in I guess in some dot points. 61 test caps for the Australian Diamonds. 2-time Liz Ellis Diamond medalist, which is that the equivalent of the Brownlow?
Yeah.
And that also, in netball terms, is unheard of. Someone winning 2 in a row or 2 in general.
At this current point, I'm the only person to ever
Yeah,
done it.
there you go.
Yeah.
So bingo.
Someone will probably do it
Kelsey,
this year, but anyway.
Kelsey, you were right. Thank fuck for that. Australian International Player of the Year 2012, 2014. You went to the Under-21 World Championships. You were the MVP of the West Coast Fever back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. ANZ Championship Player of the Year 2012, Melbourne Vixens MVP 2013, 2016, Com Games gold medalist in 2014 in Glasgow, Melbourne Vixen Premiership, so team success as well, ANZ Championship MVP and a Com Games silver medalist. That is disgusting behaviour. It is just from a girl from Geelong. That's not bad at all.
Well, you know what? It's actually when I retired and they were like reading it out and I was like, she's freaking impressive. And then Kelsey's like, that's you. And I was like, I know, but I lived through it and I still am looking at it being like, wow, you've done a lot.
Did you gather like what you were achieving whilst you're in it, or now you're out, you can kind of look back and be like, holy fuck, that was pretty awesome.
I think when it's like anything, it's like with perspective, with time, you get out of it and you're like, gosh, school was so easy. Like, you know how you're like, I can't wait to be an adult and get out. And then you're like, gosh, being an athlete was amazing. But sometimes when you're in it, you get in that rut and you're in the grind and you're like, gosh, this is hard. This is a hard slog. And yeah, it's only when you get out and then you're like, gosh, they were some of the best years of my life.
Yeah, incredible.
And yeah, I do look back at it and I'm like, wow, that is something that I'm really proud of, and I can read it and I can then live through it again. And I know my mum, my dad, and even Kelsey have come along that entire journey with me, so have seen all the ups and downs. So when you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's impressive, but gosh, there were some low points as well.
Yeah, because we're going to go through it, but there's 2 ACLs and a bad knee injury at the end as well that sort of was well in that, which led to you retiring in 2020. And before I go into your career, I wanted to talk about like the now, because you're on the other side of the fence commentating, and
I love it.
But yeah, do you love it?
Yeah,
like, first
I love
off,
it.
is it? Oh, because sometimes players when they commentate, they're like, "Fuck, I wish I was still out there." But do you get that at all?
No,
or?
I think because I had what I call a gap year. Like I had a gap year off, so I retired in 2020, had 21 off. And it's kind of, I think, sometimes a really good thing for athletes to kind of have that time away, because then you're not feeling bitter that you're not out there the next season. And even when I'm commentating, I'm not saying we, because I'm still part of the team. I'm like, oh, they are doing this and Collingwood are doing that, or, you know, Vixens, etc. So I think sometimes having a gap year was really good. But I also know, as much as my brain would love for me to be out there and I can I'm like, oh gosh, I know my body physically can't do it anymore.
So does that help with that mindset then? Because
yes and no, because you're like, having always been an athlete, you're always so competitive and you're like, why can't my body do that? But as you get older, you're like, well, I'm a little bit slower. Everything's a little bit harder. I'm not recovering as well. So, yeah.
So because you had another year on your contract when you came out as well. So it wasn't like you chose to retire. You were actually kind of like forced into it in a sense, I guess.
Yes, in a way I was, but I do remember because we were in lockdown before that and we'd just moved down to Geelong, and there was Kelsey and I training, rehabbing. Like she had the most horrific rehab, like because we were in lockdown and there was no point of contact with any medical staff. But we were in Geelong as a family, and I just remember coming up to dinner one time and I was like, I've just got something to chat to you guys about. And they were like, well, and I was like, I think this is going to be my last year. I'm going to retire after this. And Kelsey was like, and do what?
Is that what she said?
And she's like, and leave me there. She was,
dippy girl.
Yeah.
Leave me there.
And we were like, well, what am I going to do? And I was like, you're going to play until you don't want to anymore. But I'm so close. I'm done. Like, and I remember going, she was the only one that knew. And I remember when we finally got back together as a team and we were doing like fitness testing, and I'd be like, this is my last one and I'm so excited about it. And she'd be like, no, it's not. I'm going to change your mind. And then I was like, no. So in a way, going into the hub, living with her in an apartment, as much as we like struggled for team success, it was really good to finish on that note.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of widespread comments about your commentary skills, and you've got a lot of plaudits early on, so you're quite a natural on the mic because you don't really like commentate the game. You're very analytical and educational for the
that is my
for
job.
the dummy like me. Yeah, but not all commentators do that. They'll be like XYZ has the ball, pass, whereas you explain why they're doing what they're doing.
Yes. Which is my job within the Fox team.
Right.
So like we have a caller. Yes, expert comment.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Right. So we have like the caller and they will do the play-by-play. And then there's the expert commentary where it's like, well, why are they doing that? What defensive skills are they doing? Or why in attack are they struggling? So trying to give that expert opinion. And then there's like Shani Layton on the sideline who's just having a friggin' laugh all the time and just like cacking us all up.
I was at the AS with Shani Layton, actually.
Right.
Yeah, that's yes.
Oh gosh, and you survived. Well done.
Yeah, she was very tall. I'll putting it politely. She was massive. Yeah, compared to us little soccer guys. But actually, one of the reasons why I started this podcast was like, because I found it really hard to transition out of sport because my career fell short with injury, and I really struggled with the mental aspect. Maybe I was a bit younger, but for you, I know you've kind of already touched on it with from the commentary aspect, but just in general, like this schedule, the sort of regimes, the sort of robotic cycles, and having that sort of end goal through the week where you've got a performance on the weekend. Do you struggle with not having that now at all?
I think at the start, my personality is I'm very organized.
I've heard.
Yes, so organized. Like anything out of place in the house, I'm like, it's got a place, put it back. Like, put it back.
Oh, no.
But Kelsey's the same. Like, I think, I think initially I always, obviously, as much as in my head I knew it was going to be my last season, I had kind of foreseen what I wanted to do and looked at the future. I have a teaching degree. I was always like, I could always go into teaching. I'd already done that. I had my Pilates certificate. I could always go, like I always had something, even towards the last 5 to 6 years of my career, always had something else, some side hustle that I wanted to do, because I was like always going, I never know. I think because I started to have those injuries, I don't know when sport could end for me. Like I'm one more injury away from it being gone. So I don't want to rely on, once I'm finished, I'm just going to move into something else. And it's funny you say that, because at the start I remember going, what am I going to do in January? Like preseason usually starts now. And I think that's probably the biggest shock the next year after you finish. And they all go back to preseason. You're like, that's where I usually would be going. And I don't know what's happening in July, where usually the whole year's planned out for you. Like, how good is this? Like, at the age of 31, I'm finally making decisions on how my year's going to look. That's like what cool, I want. Yeah. So I think I've always looked at it in that mindset. Like, you can be like, I'm struggling, but it's like, what opportunity actually has arisen? And I'm like, I could go to Europe in July. Like,
more people need to be like you. Because I feel like I always say to people, I'm like, good luck replacing the dopamine effect of playing in the MCG in front of 80,000 when you're done. Like, nothing else can compare, but...
Of course, but you then have like, okay, well, trying to find that feeling, yes, it can be hard, but it's like, I think when you find another passion or you're doing something you love, then you could be working with 5 kids, and that could give you the same effect as the 80,000 people in the stadium. It's like just finding what you're passionate about and then kind of investing in that.
Are you doing anything outside of commentary? You mentioned Pilates and teaching, but you've got like actual other sort of stuff you're doing too?
Yeah, so like whether it's in the media space, like media presenting, events, I do love my Pilates instructing, and I think that actually is where I get you talk about that dopamine, that's where I think I get.
Really? Instructing Pilates?
Yeah, because I think it's like a performance in a way. So like it's like game day every day. Like welcome to my team.
I need to come to one of these sessions. I'll be hopeless on those things.
Yeah, and it's like you get to motivate, and I think that leadership aspect that I had during sport is coming into play. But I've met some incredible clients and people that are from different places that when I was in the sporting world I never would have been able to connect with. But when I was in the sporting world as well, like going to events, doing presentations, like I thoroughly enjoyed going and meeting different people and building those connections that then when I did retire, I was like, maybe I'll reach out to them and see what they're doing and whether I have any, services or anything that I could offer to them or they could offer to me, or, just having that time to sit and go, all right, what's the next step for me? What do I really, really want? And also having a try and then, it doesn't work. On to the next thing. Like, we're so lucky these days though.
Correct.
You can have 4 different career changes.
Literally.
Where like I look at my parents, and my mum's been a teacher for 45 years, like incredible, but I've probably had 17.
A lot of people
in our
demographic probably couldn't stick to one career for 45 years.
I'm a little bit like that actually.
You could?
I'm like a 3-year cycle.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. I need multiple things or else I'm exploding. I'm like, I'm getting trapped.
Netball's the longest thing I've ever focused at. Probably relationships and career-wise. So well done netball. You had me in.
Yeah. So just I want to talk about, I guess, the triage of injuries as well, because before we get into the good stuff, because you had 2 ACLs, I think 2015, 2019, then you came back 2020 and you hurt your knee again, and then that's when you called it quits.
Yeah.
Like we've spoken about ACLs on this before with your sister and a lot of people, and it's not like career changing injuries, it's like life changing kind of stuff, because you can't actually like function for a long period of time, even the rehab, then you've got the mental aspect of like, is it actually okay when it feels okay?
Will I do it again?
Yeah, all that sort of shit. Yeah. Like, can you just take me through that whirlwind? Because you were kind of winning so many awards, playing some of your best netball, and then bang, that happens in 2015.
2014 was probably my best year ever, on and off the court.
Yeah.
Won a Commonwealth Games, won a premiership, won like, lots of personal accolades. Like, it was just like, oh my goodness, doesn't get much better than this. Like, everything is like going for me. And then 6 rounds in the next year, bang. And you can go, oh my goodness, everything's just crashing down. And that was the year of the World Cup. So obviously in netball, it's Com Games and then World Cup, they go back to back.
Right.
So that was kind of like, I'd waited 8 years to get to the Com Games in 2014 because I'd missed out. So I was like, yes, I'm finally here. I was like, this is my back to back. Like this is, and we had an incredible group of athletes and just people in the Diamonds at that time. And some of them are my closest friends. So yeah, it was pretty like, oh my goodness, like I'm going to miss out on that. I'm going to have to watch my friends have all this like success and just see their like boom. It was hard, but like you said, life-changing at the same time. And as much as I'm like, oh, of course I would have loved to have not have done 2 or 3 of them, I actually think I'm a way better person, and probably I came back as a better athlete.
That's what Kelsey said too. She said like it helped to become a better person. I'm trying to understand. Can you explain that to me in a sense? Like what was it that made you feel that way?
I think it's like that, like you really appreciate what you have when you have it,
right?
Rather than going, getting greedy and I want more and it's got to be this and it's got to be fast paced and I want it now. Like, okay, well, things take patience and things take time, and sometimes it's totally not in your control, and you have to like, all right, try one way, it didn't work, try another, be really solution focused. Like even in your head, like when you, now being in the real world, like actually working a job, like having to like, oh, yep, that's not it for me, having to move on, and just dealing with people and dealing with those emotions and not letting it like crash and burn you. You're like, okay, cool. Well, that's a great stepping stone. I've learned this and moving on. Like you just learn so much. But I think the thing with an ACL, especially when you come from being in a team sport, it's so isolating.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's really lonely.
Yeah, because
really
like for
lonely.
the first, like when it happens and they announce it and then like everybody's like, oh my goodness, they're all around.
3 weeks in.
Yeah, 2 to 3 months in, you're like, where's the love? Like, why doesn't anyone care anymore? And you're like, oh, I'm only like a quarter of the way through this rehab and I'm feeling alone. So yeah, it can be challenging. And, I remember doing my first one and there was a girl at the VIS and she was a sailor and she was like a few weeks behind in surgery for me, but she was killing it. And I was like, why aren't I doing that? And he's like, because you don't need to do that for your sport. Like you don't need to, like she was balancing and all this stuff and doing all these incredible stuff. And I was like, why aren't I doing that? And he's like, because you don't need to do that.
She needs serious?
To, yeah. But it's that competitive. Like I want to get there to the finish line first, where I think with injury, some people are like, well, I did it in 6 months. Yeah, good on you. Well done.
Yeah.
I did it in 18 or I did it in 12. It doesn't matter.
Thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You just got to run your own race, because my body obviously had swelling issues anyway. So yeah,
fair enough.
But it is really isolating, and I think the life-changing thing is just that perspective on really cherishing what you have when you have it.
Well, now we're not telling you to go do an ACL to get that life perspective.
No, you can still get it through a lot of things. Yeah, absolutely.
Glass half full thinking Gucci love. Do you think you came back the same player, like at the same level in your body and mind? Like, or do you reckon, does it actually change?
I remember the physio saying like, your knee will get back to normal. And I was like, how? There's like 3 screws in there. Like it's never going to be normal.
Yeah,
like,
do you know what I mean?
Stop telling me a lie.
Yeah.
But I think yes and no. Like I came back probably smarter. Right. I knew how to work with certain maybe deficiencies in my body. And for so long, because you'd been doing the pre-seasons, like all the little things that you'd never had time to work on, it was like, all right, like we're in rehab, let's strip it back. Yeah. Do my calves need more work? Do I need to focus on switching on my glutes before my quad? Like what is it that's making me like maybe more at risk of injury?
Right.
How can I strip it back, and how can I kind of like just really work at my machine, my body.
Wow.
So yeah, but the mental thing I think is something that people skip, and they go, oh no, like I'll get back, and I've done all this work, and my first game, and I was one of those. I was like, my first game is going to be amazing. Like I'm just going to come back and just going to smash it out of the park. I remember my dad was like, well, there's only one way to go, Mads. That's rock bottom. And I was like, yeah, I know, that was terrible.
Yeah, I've heard about your dad. Apparently he's brutally honest.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's probably what you talk about, the commentary, and people saying like, oh, I love your commentary. I'm like, yeah, because I just say it as I see it.
That's from your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we joke about it, and people are probably like, oh gosh, he was tough. And we're like, no, we love and appreciate all of that about him.
Yeah, because Kelsey speaks about because obviously you girls grew up in Geelong and played obviously a lot of your netball growing up in Melbourne for the rep teams and whatnot. And she would always say around if she had a bad game around the Keilor Park kind of junction on the Westgate going home, that's when he would just turn and be like, that was fucking shit.
It used to be in Geelong around Queen's Park. So anyone from Geelong, Queen's Park, and you'd come from the arena, or mum and dad would meet there because they'd be coming from different schools because they were both teachers at different schools. And so you'd meet there, and the second you have a shit game, you're like, I want to go home with mum. And he'd be like, you're in my car. And you'd be like,
I love that.
And then you'd literally get around to the Queen's Park, and you're like, okay, it's been silenced. Like, we've only got 3 minutes home, 3 minutes home.
And then he'd be
like, I paid $8 for that shit.
I love that.
To watch that shit. And you'd be like, I know, I could be so much better.
He's like, I need to do a podcast with your father because it would be so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah. No, it was, but I actually think that's why we are so resilient. We are so competitive.
Correct.
It's not like he was not terrible. He just knew how good we could be.
Correct.
And it was like that. I love you, but I ain't paying $8 to see that shit ever again. So if you're going to dish that up, let's just call it quits. Stop wasting your time and stop wasting my time.
It's true. Do you know what? I'll tell you a story about my dad, because my dad, when it came to soccer, he didn't know anything. He was a cricketer. So he would be like, I don't know, I don't really care. But when I played cricket, that was my main sport as a kid. He would throw me basic sort of throw downs, and I would hit the ball. And if I didn't throw the ball back on the full or play the shot that he wanted, because sometimes he'd make me play the same shot 100 times and just smack it, the next ball would be at my head, and he would hit me in the head, and I'd start crying and stuff. And at the time, I thought he was the meanest bastard ever. And sometimes he'd play backyard cricket, I'd be on 99, and then he'd pick up the pace and bowl me out and wouldn't let me get 100, or whatever. But I actually attest a lot of my success back to that shit, because
Absolutely.
do you know what? Nothing was easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
funny though.
Yeah, because
I hated him at the time.
Oh, at times I was like, but I think also, some kids would give up, and I'm fine. As he said, if you don't want to do this, I don't want you to do it. I'm not forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. But that it's he would just literally he knew how to push the button and push it to the absolute limit to just fire us up and go, well, yeah, no, of course we're better than that.
Yeah. I got an interesting question for you on this. This is a hypothetical, but if you had a kid, would you...
I'd be doing the same thing.
Would you actually? But knowing what it did to you, would you do it, or would you feel bad?
No, I'd absolutely do it.
So you I paid fucking $8 for that game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the other thing, and I think this even comes down to teams, to have hard conversations, you have to have a really good foundation with the relationship. And our parents are our biggest supporters. They have not ever missed any game that they could be at. They've been at. They've been at presentations. They've been at book launches. They've been at everything. They are always there.
Respect.
So we knew how much they loved, cared, the amount of time, the energy. They'd been working 5 jobs to give us the opportunities to go and play. They'd be working in the band. They'd be doing all of these things for us. So it's that I want to repay. I want to make you so proud of me that, yeah, I don't want to dish up that shit.
Are they going to be watching this?
I don't know. Yeah.
Shout out to Browne family. So, Dad, don't hate me, mate. I'm not on the messenger.
No, we love and appreciate and respect them more because
that's awesome.
They actually taught us those life skills.
Right.
Not just to, as I said, not just to be a better player, but to be a better person and just to be a genuinely good human being.
Just speaking of that point, you spoke about those hard conversations and communicate. Do you think... Because I think sport's a very unique world where you instantly, from when you were 16 or 17 to 31 or 30, whenever you retired, you just put in such awkward, hard conversations where not the I guess the average person is having.
Yes.
Like where you're getting told critical things that you're just not good enough. Or
every single day, every single week you go to training and, we could probably change this.
Yeah.
I mean, that was okay.
Real
but
personal shit that you like feel attacked. But as an athlete, it's just like normal.
Yes.
So when you come out in the real world, I always think like your communication skills and your depth of being able to have hard conversations is so much higher, or your bandwidth, because of those experiences.
But that I think sometimes is where you talk about, sorry to go back to the transition, but it can be hard because it's like I have all these skill sets and all these life skills of having hard conversations. I'm really good at leadership. I can do all of these things. I'm a great communicator. I work well in teams. All of that stuff. But sometimes then when you go to put it into a work situation, you're like, but I don't have any experience in that field.
Yeah.
And you're coming up against 26-year-olds or 22-year-olds in my case, and they may have been doing it for 5 years and they're like, yeah, but they've got 5 years experience in this industry.
Yeah, that's
you don't. And I'm like, yeah, but I've got 16 years of having really hard conversations and I'm probably, it's really hard to
There's no
kind
award
of
for that. You can't put that in a CV, like 16 years of getting brutally assessed.
Yeah, I know how to take feedback and I know how to make it into positives. So like I think that's sometimes hard, but it also is like an incredible, as you said, it's only when you get out and you're like, I can, they're like, oh, something's not happening over there in a workplace. And you're like, just go tell them.
Yeah.
Like,
Do what should I?
See something, do something, the thing you want, the past is the thing you accept. Like, and they're like, I don't really understand that. And you're like, oh, okay, that's the athlete brain in me. It's never going to switch off.
Yeah, which is a good thing, I think. But let's go back to when you started, because did you debut for the Kestrels?
I did.
Was that?
Do you even know who they are?
No. Who the fuck are they? No disrespect, Melbourne Kestrels, but
no, they're dead and buried, so don't even stress.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah, so wow, you are a dinosaur in this game.
They are. So they used to be, you talking about like, you debuted in 2008.
Yeah.
You're like, the Vixens, because that's where you're at.
That's where the Vixens started around then, right?
Yeah, so it used to be Kestrels and Phoenix, and then they merged together to become the Vixens.
Oh my God.
So I was around 2 years prior to that.
How old were you then?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's really young.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I'd literally finished year 12 and I was actually having my first time going away to, we went to Port Macquarie to watch Kelsey play basketball in the summer in like the basketball slams for Country Vic.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great because usually she would always come along to my tournament. So because I was playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the first time I get to go along and actually enjoy it. Anyway, my trip got cut short because they called me 3 days in and was like, we'd like you to come and be a training partner and like train with us. And like, no joke, my head was like, but I want to have a holiday. And my mum was like, you'll be getting on the next plane tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Great. Fly home. And I was like, okay, like sure. So I flew home. My grandfather picked me up at the airport, drove me down to Brighton Beach for a 7 a.m. like absolute beach flog session. And I rocked up 2 weeks of training and then I got a spot.
That's
on the
incredible.
list. Yeah.
So back then was like, even just a bit before then, was professional netball, was that like a viable career? Like, so what are we talking like? How difficult was it for some of the pros back then to live off the income? Were they having multiple jobs?
Well, you look at Liz Ellis, who is probably like, one of the biggest names.
Did she change the game?
And Sherelle McMahon and Liz Ellis and Kath Cox and that type of vintage.
They were Sherelle McMahon was the Vixens back then.
I
remember she was the only one that I was starstruck by. Oh, yeah. Was she?
Phoenix, yeah.
But she was at the Vixens in 08?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember her in the gym.
Yes.
She was the only one that I was like, I know. Yeah,
I know
that's how big she was, though.
But she probably made $9,000 for a year.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So even when I came in 2006, so when I first signed on, there was a squad of 16. Every week there'd be 12 that would get selected for the game. If you played, you got $200. So nothing for the week of training. You'd train 5 to 6 days a week. I was driving from Geelong, so I was studying. I'd got into teaching, doing my Bachelor of Education at Deakin, and then I'd drive up on my own, like literally I had to go get my license on my birthday because I was like, I got to get to training. Like I got to get to training on Tuesday because mum and dad had they're like, we're done with the travel. And I was like, no, you don't need to be up and back on the roads. But yeah.
That's crazy. $9,000.
$200 a game. Some clubs back then, this will blow your mind. Some clubs back then were like traveling with microwaves. So the pre-game meal was like a light and easy heated up in a microwave.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the diet of champions.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like elite level. And I was like so proud to finally be on a list of an elite netball club back then. And yeah, I know that there was people playing like locally in Geelong getting $500 a game for football. And I was like, yeah, I'll have to pay 5 games or more for that.
What back then, like, because I feel like it's different now. And I want to know the kind of turning point when it happened, because I feel like now as a young girl, if you're playing netball, you can be like, if I make it, like I can make a really good living. I can be comfortable.
Well, you can actually aspire to it. Like I know.
That's what I mean. So why were you aspiring to it?
Well, I wasn't. It was only literally when I got picked up that I actually was like, oh, maybe I could do this. Like, I guess I always wanted to play netball and basketball, but my goal was to possibly go to States and play college basketball. That's where I was looking at.
So you were playing multiple sports at a high level.
Yeah. So the funny thing was at the time I was in the girl pathway and Pendles was in the boys pathway for basketball.
Right.
So we were on the same trajectory and then we both were like, nope.
See you later.
See ya. But yeah, I went obviously netball and he went obviously to footy.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I actually met Pendles the other night at the Copeland and he just
look at you.
Yeah, no, he
+1
He
guest.
looked at me. I was sitting with Geordie and he's like, oh, let's just give him the finger. So I'd never met him before. So we gave him the finger. And he just looked at me. He goes, oh, because I'm doing this stuff with Dane Swan. He's like, oh, you know Swanee, dear. Oh, you're cool. And just got up and walked off. And I was there like, oh, fuck.
Whoops, maybe you should have
rattled my cage beautifully. Just speak of some of the people that you just mentioned there, how they created a pathway or put some sort of, nails in the ground to sort of change the game. What was it that Sherelle McMahon, Liz Ellis, those kinds of people did for netball to actually shift it to a real profession?
Yeah, I think, once they then even finished playing netball, they continued to go into like advocating and like creating a players association. Like that had only just started to grow some legs. And now it's like a fully functional like association. We've got a president, we've got, CEO, like we've got all of those things in place. And because of them that they were like prepared to not only, play their career, but then give after. It's like that kind of like legacy handing over of the baton, like, okay, now it's your time. This is what we've given you. Like now you got to continue to push ahead and drive it further. But back then they like took on, different sponsorships that were probably like if they were given to athletes today, it'd be like, okay, female shouldn't. They used to have a burly bra campaign. Like, okay, that might go to some listeners anyway. And they were in like FHM or something for like a photo shoot one time. So like it was like, oh, any publicity is good.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd probably that match
like let's just get netball like talked about.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely obviously put things out there, and then it was like, okay, all right, what do we actually stand for? What do we want to be known for? And we want our, like, even a couple of years ago, we were paying to be on TV as a sport. Now we've got like the likes of Fox Sports that are like, yes, we love your product, we want your product, and we want to take it to like that tier 1 level alongside AFL and NRL and up there. Like it is one of the highest participation sports for females.
Yeah,
so
correct.
like why aren't we up there?
Correct.
But I also do think sometimes the sport's been a little bit worried about, it's always been like, oh, we always want to be talked about in good light. And we do. We have athletes that are like incredible, incredible people and they're like doing careers. Like we've got accountants, teachers, lawyers. Like they're doing their career as well as trying to playing career at the same time.
Would there still be players doing dual careers?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like majority of the list would be. There'd only be maybe 1, 2 or 3 maximum in every team that can actually go, I'm an elite netballer.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's my profession.
Wow, you've seen the full plethora of growth and rock bottom to growth.
I
in
have.
The whole league,
It's actually, it's nice to say that. I'm like, my first game I got paid $200 and then I got to the end where we were fighting for like a minimum pay of $40,000 for 12 months.
Fuck, that's incredible.
So it's awesome to see where it is at, but there's obviously still so much more.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I can imagine. Now, the Melbourne Vixens, that was a big part of your life, no doubt. You played there for what, like 6, 7,
Well,
8
I played there for a year, and then I left, and then I came back.
Yeah. And so can you tell me a little bit about that club? Because I feel like you ended at Collingwood and I don't know if they've got the greatest friendship, let's say. say, but so you've
It's
seen
like
both.
I went from Carlton to Collingwood.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did in the
Is
netball.
Collingwood as hated as everyone, like as the AFL team Collingwood, like in the netball, or is it not?
Well, we're trying to change that.
But is that the case now? Like, as in not hated, but like, you know,
I think at the
there's
start
always
they
that-
were. It was
Right.
like that stigma of like, oh, well, it's Collingwood and they've got money and they're a big club and they're paying. We have a salary cap. Like we cannot go any further than what the limitations are.
Yeah. Okay.
But Vixens, very proud club. Once again, I was actually there when they formed together. So
So you're there from the inception.
yes,
as well. Wow.
yes. So obviously players in football have like their number and there's like I wear the number 6 or whatever
Yeah.
for the whole of my career where we have numbers as to when we like.
Oh, right. Played
Yes.
like you're the number X player.
Yeah, so at
Vixens.
Vixens, I'm like number 3.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Collingwood, I'm number 1
That is
because I was captain.
crazy.
And then Diamonds, I'm number 152.
So you are like just paving the way for
I've
people.
just got numbers.
You just got you're number 3 and 1.
Well, I'm only number 3 because it's Browne, so it's the 2 captains in the alphabetical order.
I was going to say, you were in the young punk.
I
I'm
was
like,
I'll let you know, the secret.
right,
It's
yeah, but
not
you-
like I was the 3rd best player.
you just add mayo on that
It's
as
just
time
like,
goes
yes, my last name starts with a B.
Well, can we talk about, because you had success there from like, career point of view, and obviously it was a big part of your life, as we mentioned, but individual and team honours through that period. You won a premiership and obviously so many individual awards. Would have been a pretty special period for you, particularly the second stint you had at the Vixens, I imagine.
Yeah, it was. And the whole reason I came back, well, when I first was there, it was 2 clubs. So 2 clubs in Melbourne joining together to become one. So there were obviously limited spots. I was really fresh. Like I'd only had 2 seasons. So I was more coming off the bench. And then I got offered the opportunity to go over to Fever with my coach who was at Kestrels at the time. And I was like, okay, she believes in me. She's going to give me
Was
this.
that a big decision for you?
Huge, because back then it was like no one really moved interstate for playing. It was like you only stayed because you weren't getting paid that much.
Yeah.
You only stayed.
Right.
So to move when you're like, I'm not getting paid a
So
lot.
it's ballsy to do that.
Yeah, to the other side of
Okay.
the country.
How old were you then? Because you had back-to-back
Oh, gosh.
MVPs there. So I just want to gauge.
21.
So at 21, you were dominating the
21,
game.
22.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good for you,
And
Madison.
then I came back, and because I think they knew that I wanted to come back, because I was like, of course I'd want to play for Victoria. I'm a Victorian. I want to be back playing amongst my family and friends. They like stooged me on the contract, and I was like, oh well, like at least I'm back home.
Oh, gosh.
But it was great to come back and play, and I wanted to come back and play with the likes of Sherelle McMahon because I'd obviously played a little bit with her at training and stuff in my first year, but then I left. And that was probably one of the hardest conversations as a player. I had to obviously call my captains, and it was Sherelle McMahon and Bianca Chatfield, and tell them that I was leaving. And I was like,
A 20-year-old just being like,
just letting you know that I don't want to play with you guys
yeah, I'm going to be versing you next year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, and I'm going to a team that don't win. But anyway, that's great. Have a great time.
Yeah.
And I left in 2009, and they won the premiership that year.
Oh, that hurts.
But yeah.
Oh, you came back and won one.
Yeah,
So you
correct.
had
It wasn't my time.
Yeah,
But
correct.
Vixens have always they've got great values. They've got obviously very much like the backing of Netball Victoria because they're under that, the player pathway. That was something that I'd grown up aspiring to do, playing for Victoria, playing in the academies, playing state league, going through that. I just guess I got to the top and then there wasn't a spot, so I had to go a few other directions to get back.
Yeah, you do. It's a cutthroat business of it, isn't it?
And you'll like this one too. So another story was the coach at the time when she told me. And back then I didn't take the elite athlete life that seriously.
Okay.
Because I was studying. So
Define that for
Okay,
us.
so I was like, I was like going out, we'd go Thursday night, I'd go $3 drinks at room 99 in Geelong. And then I'd play on a Friday night or Saturday night, go out Saturday night, Sunday
proper rock and roll.
Sunday sesh. And then I'd rock around to training on the Monday the next week.
God.
I was severely overweight. Not severely. I was just overweight.
For
I was
a professional
yeah, and
netballer.
back then I look at the pictures, and we used to wear those swimsuits with the little frill skirts. So
Yeah.
I was muffin topping over that. It was not good at all. And I look back and I'm like, what were you thinking? Oh, well, you had great times. You had really great times. But the coach sat me down after 2008, and this is probably when I was like, okay, it's probably time to go and move on. She's like, you're unfit, because I was like, why aren't I getting more court time? And, I just want to know what I need to do. And she's like, you're unfit, you're not consistent enough, you're not this, you're not that. And I was like, whoa. And I remember driving back down to Geelong as a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, being like, what would she know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, she's probably got a point.
Yeah.
So then when I moved to Perth, I actually dropped 10 kilos.
Did you? So you just got fit as anything?
I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to get really fit. I'm going to go over, and this is going to be like my fresh start, to the point that I rocked over and people were like, hi, and I was like, it's Madi. And they were like, yes, okay, definitely know. Yeah.
What?
I dyed my hair blonde. I went like, full,
you just changed your persona.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to start afresh.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, the 2 Liz Ellis diamond medals, like, so that, just to clarify, they are the equivalent of like for the AFL fan, like a Brownlow medal.
Yeah, so they actually combine your Australian and your National League performances together. So you've got to be playing in the Diamonds and you've got to be playing nationally.
Okay.
And it's like you're like, after every game, or media votes, coaches vote. There's lots of obviously stakeholders.
So it's the elite of the elite.
Yes, yeah. So Goodness Australian gracious. And national combined.
Wow. So I just want to go a little bit deeper on this, because what do you attest your skill sets to, or even personality traits to be able to achieve that? Because
definitely,
you're the only one that's ever done 2.
Oh, definitely my upbringing. Like my parents, I think skill set, like my hands and I've got my dad's hands. Like everyone's like, always just been really good with the ball in hand.
Yeah.
Practicing, like even when we were little, Mum was obviously a teacher. We'd drive in the car and be at school at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'd be like shooting hoops, I'd be shooting netball, I'd be shooting basketball, I'd be playing, I'd be dribbling around, like I'd be just doing all that type of stuff all the time. And then, I think sometimes that tough love, those hard conversations, the grounding that I had, like, yes, that's an incredible achievement, Maddie, but like, let's not
move on.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Like we would celebrate the success, and we would celebrate even the small steps along the way, which I think then obviously when I got to having to do rehab, I'm like, okay, you just got to celebrate the little things and not just worry too much about the destination. You'll get there, but make sure you enjoy the journey along the way, like that type of thing. So I think all of those things definitely, that when I would get to do something, and it's even like today, it's like when I do something, I'm like, I want to be the best at what I do. I want to be so bloody good at it that people are like, she's incredible, she's great.
So you played as a wing attack or a centre? Were they your 2 positions?
Yes.
Is that what Kelsey plays too?
Yes.
So is that mainly just about like fitness and determination
and the brain?
And the brain. So is it like, so it's the brain position?
Yeah. I was like, don't sell it short.
Okay. No, because I played midfield in soccer, and for me that's the brain position, because it's the link between the back and the front.
100%,
and it's like
the engine room. It's like, the shooters get all the glory because it's like, oh, they shot the massive goal, like yay. And the defenders get all the glory because it's like, oh, what an intercept. But the people that are grinding it out, absolutely flogging themselves, creating everything, it's like,
yeah, I feel like you've got to be so fit to play there. Like there's not much respite in that position.
No, but they're very different. So wing attack is a bit more of that like general, like the point guard in basketball, to give the
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're setting up the plays, you're setting up the attacking line, you're in charge of that. The center, you're the link. So you're obviously running from the defensive end to the attacking end, and you're the one that just links from end to end.
Hiring position. Yeah. Jeez. It's impressive. So because actually, no, before we go into Collingwood, I think we need to talk about the gold medal at the Com Games.
Yes.
Because how high do you hold that in your list of achievements? Because you've got a long list.
Yeah.
as we've seen.
It's definitely up there. And probably the reason was, or why it is because it took me so long to get there. I had been in the mix for the 2010 Delhi Games and got cut a week before they went. So I was in, there was a squad of 15, 12 went. I was in the 3 that got cut. So then it was like, okay, I got to wait another 4 years. And then finally, so like 4 years to Delhi, another 4 years to 2014 Glasgow. So by the time I got there, I was like
ready to go.
Same. And I was like, this could be the only time I do it. Like this could be it. I was there with my best friend, Renee Hallinan, or Renee Ingalls now.
Yep.
And we roomed together. So I was like, one, I'm experiencing this overseas. I'm with some of my closest friends, a lot of them that I'd played through Victorian netball with. Like, this is it.
Life's good.
Yeah, and it was just an incredible group of people to experience it with, and we did so much like strategy work, so much video that we knew like all the structures, all the things that New Zealand were going to do. Even with England, we only just beat them by 1 in the rounds and like scraped through. But yeah, we won by 18 goals in the end. And the best compliment was like Maria Tutaya or Maria Falau now after the game. She's like, it was like they knew what we were doing. We're like, we did. We did so much work in knowing exactly, because back then, like, it was just like goal for goal winning when we used to play international series with them. So you'd sometimes win a series, you'd sometimes get pumped, but it was like usually games were won by 1 or 2. Yeah, wow. Heartbreaking.
Big respect. What was the actual experience like as just a human being to be within the Commonwealth Games and having
the village is interesting. Yeah, the village is always
is it a shag fest like they say?
Well, you go to the medical and there's just like a bowl of condoms and you're like, okay. I was actually here to get my ankle strap, but anyway.
I might just grab some of those on the way out.
Well, I was married at the I was like, I was behaving.
But you would have had front row seats to the antics for sure.
Yeah, but also there's some sports that like, well, netball and even hockey, you're there from day 1 to the last day because
sports come and go.
Yeah, because it's like a tournament where other sports come and go. Like the triathletes, they were in for like 3 days and then they were like on it and then they're out and then the cyclists come in because their events.
Like, boop, boop, boop.
The swimmers come in. They're the first week. Yep, bang, bang, bang. Out. Athletics come in. So like, yeah, it's just like this. Whoa! And then you're like sitting at the pool or you're sitting at the like dining hall and people are coming. And you're just like, are they? Is that a chat up? Like, and then there's like different countries talking to different countries.
It would have been a special experience because then I think the next one you guys came second, wasn't it? In Gold Coast,
and as much as. Yeah, that's a silver medal. I probably still hold it just as high as the gold.
Yeah.
Because I'd actually been dropped out of the team with the Diamonds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
leading into that?
In 2017, I was in the mix, got dropped. They wanted to kind of blood some new young talent. I was the only person to get dropped. So I was like, I'm not sure that's the truth, but anyway. And then we had like a camp in January and I had to go to this camp and just absolutely put on a show to try and have any chance of getting in.
And you put on a show?
Well,
by the sound of it.
I must have. I must have done something right. And the physio was just like, I've never seen anyone come in and drop so many bombs, Mads. Like, well done. Like, and I do remember being, because they had like a England tour in January and I remember sitting on the couch in lawn with the family watching it and I was just like,
fuming.
And they were winning and I was like, I'm not going to get back in this team.
This is the thing as an athlete people don't understand is that other side of the fence when you're sitting at home, you're like, fucking, I just would do anything to be out there.
Absolutely. And you're like, I want to celebrate. I want to like cheer on my teammates, my country. Yeah. I definitely want them to do well, but not well without me.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the balancing. Like, don't lose, but maybe lose because maybe I might play.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really like would fight. So I'd watch a game and then I'd go up to the football oval and I'd be like cutting laps and I'd be like, oh my goodness, like, just like a machine. Like, so yeah, really, really competitive. So that I was like, if I go to this camp, I'm going to give it absolutely everything. And I'm not a highly emotional person, as in like I am emotional, but I don't usually show it to many people. Like I rarely break down my walls or cry.
Yeah, apparently you didn't cry when you did your ACL.
No.
That's a
no.
prime example.
I was like rubbing the back of my parents. I was like, it's okay, Mum and Dad, I'll be fine. Don't stress about it.
You're probably gonna let everyone else around you's crying.
And Kelsey, the first time was on the phone, and she's like, I was like, oh my goodness.
Honestly.
Yeah, but as I said, once you know her, she's like, that's exactly both of you two. But when she finally called and said you're going to the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, I lost it. I was like a blubbering mess.
So that medal, because you worked so hard to get there, that medal's why it's so valuable.
Yeah, and I remember it was obviously devastating to lose. I would love to have 2 gold, but I was like, I'm going to, and you look at the team photo actually, if you ever look at it at the end and we've got the silver, I'm like, so happy and everyone's like,
yeah, because did you lose by a goal?
Yeah, within like 2 seconds.
Because Kelsey was telling me about that, like how gutted she was and everyone was about like, obviously it was just heartbreak in the end. Well, just going into, actually, no, that's what I wanted to ask you. Sorry, it was around your trophy cabinet. Where is this? And do you still have all your trophies? Because I'm not taking the piss. I cut about 15 like younger youth awards and all this other stuff out because I was like, I can't read it all.
All right, this is going to make you laugh because our mum is like, so we had like the family house that we grew up in since, I was 1 when they built it. Kelsey grew up in that house. And then mum and dad sold it, and so did like a whole like, all right, well, this is your room and this is your stuff, and you can put it into one container. So, because we're taking that to the new house. So we used to have these 2 like shelves, and it used to have like just like back to rows of trophies, like basketball, like all of it.
Talented family.
So mum, because she was like, I don't want to forget any of it, has got, and I don't know where this is. I'd have to look in the house. She peeled off all the labels, and they're in like a book, and then she donated the trophies back to the trophy house so they could be reused. So we've got a book of all of our stuff, but there's nothing collecting dust. So it's literally like a photo album of plaques.
Oh my God, I've never heard of that before. She's just made that executive decision.
Like, I'm not taking all of that trash with me. They're going in their photo album. Yeah. So
you've won too many awards, the sisters, that she's had to innovate and create a book.
I love that she was just like, well, this is not going to waste, and we're not going to throw these out. Yeah. Someone else is going to find love in these, so we'll redonate them.
Oh my God.
So someone out there's probably got my MVP award or something, but it's just got a different plaque.
Do you still have your gold medal though from the Com Games and stuff? Those ones? All right.
Yeah, those ones. They're just in a nice little...
so it's all the other...
Because everyone's like, why aren't they on display? And you're like, oh, no, they're just like in their nice little box in a little like container. Right. Yeah. Okay. But mum and dad do have like a pool room. But for them, there's no pool table. It's the band room. Okay, like there's a set of drums and there's microphones. All right. It's the band room, and there's just wall to wall of like frames of our dresses, our
Diamonds,
bibs,
gear,
our
all that sort of stuff.
In my mum's also the one that like whenever there's like, so if there's a poster of Kelsey at Collingwood, you know, she'll be like, so when you're done with that, I'll take that, and it'll just like, so there's just like random cutouts of us. You know, it's just,
I need to see this room.
She just like it's actually like you walk around, you're like, oh, memory lane, like this is not like it's awesome. And then there's like, she's obviously done a lot of coaching stuff, so there's hers are up there, and Dad's are there, dusty and black and white. But anyway.
Oh wow. Yeah. It'd be one room to walk into.
Well, you're there to jam, and then you're like, oh, she won a gold medal. That's cool.
Yeah. Realization. Oh wait, stop the song. When the fuck did that happen? Yeah. All right, bring us back in. Bang. Well, can you tell me about the move to Collingwood? Like, how did that come about? And was that like, obviously you were the number 1 player? That daunting at all, going to a new club when you'd been at such a, I guess, even though you went to Vixens early, it was established by the time you left?
Yeah, but I think the thing that kind of lured me across is because I grew up playing footy netball in Geelong, and I loved the connection of being part of a big club, not just being a team. And I loved Vixens, and it was really, really hard. But to be honest, I didn't actually think I'd get offered to go to another club, because when it used to be ANZ Champs, and then it became the Suncorp Super Netball. And this is when new teams were coming in. We were separating from the New Zealand, because we used to play Trans-Tasman, obviously, in ANZ. It was like the new kind of surgence of this new Australian elite netball league. We're going to have imports, like, wow. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to get a gig anywhere else. I'm pretty established here. I'm the captain of Vixens. Like, I'm not going to get an offer. And then when Collingwood called, I was like, oh, maybe I should really consider this. I also know that I'm in that latter part of my career. Like, I don't know how many years.
How old would you have been then? 28, 29?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and just to go, I think I was like, I'm close to the end. And I've been part of this kind of push from when I got paid $200 a game. Not that I want to go get paid. I want to go know what it's like to be one of those footballers that rocks up to these facilities and gets to live their like sporting dream.
It's fucking amazing, isn't it?
What so to be offered it, I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get in. I'm going to be using this gym. I've got access to these incredible like trainers. Yeah. Like I'm going to learn so much. Even the off-court, off-field stuff, like just the business. Well, it's a business. It's sport as a business, not just, oh, we're going out and participating. So I was like, I've been part of Netball Victoria's pathway. I'm really proud of that. I captained the club. I've won a premiership. I played over 100 games for the Vixens. I just need something different. It's kind of like that. I get to that certain point and I'm like, I need another challenge.
It's understandable. I can understand that.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to be part of something from scratch again. I was like, we might not be successful for the time that we're here, but I at least want to be part of the foundation and setting it right. And the first few years at Collingwood were hard because we were like, well, you're not allowed to be in the gym at this time because the boys are in here. Like we were very much just a separate program on the side. But now
it's completely changed, hasn't it?
Now the way that they kind of integrate and they flow and they just utilize it like they're just
one club.
Yeah, correct. It's actually really like warming to see because I'm like, I did not experience that, but it's so good to see that they've got to that point.
Well, to round this out, this is a theme we've started in the last few episodes, and I've defined kind of 3 traits that I think are important to all people who want to be successful, but particularly athletes. And I just want to see which one you feel sort of most associates with you and your success. But out of drive, resilience, and ambition, for you, what have been what one's sort of the main one you can attest a lot of your success to? It's a really tough question, but
what drives my ambition? Drive,
ambition, or resilience? One of the 3. Which one?
Look, resilience is probably for me because of I think
what you had to overcome.
Yes. Resilience. And I think I've learned, and I do have like a bit of a saying that it's like sometimes when you miss out on something good, you're being redirected towards something great.
Yeah.
So it can be really hard when you get knocked back or things aren't going in the trajectory that you think that they should be going or you want them to go. But sometimes when you sit with it, you settle, you learn, you figure it out and you're like, you know what? That wasn't for me and I'm actually going exactly where I need to be. So I think that resilience to go, all right, well, that may have stopped, but what can we do? And that's our mum
coming through.
Yeah, like always positive Polly, like trying to find, and Dad's the negative Nancy sometimes, but that's okay. But we love them both because they bring that. But I think just, sometimes seeing the good in sometimes the worst case scenario.
Beautifully said. Now, just to add on that quickly, because we're going to probably have some young girls that are aspiring to be yourself and Kelsey in the netball world, some young girls listening in and tuning in. What would be some, I guess, diamonds of advice you could give them to, I guess, get to where you potentially got to?
I do think that you've got to love what you do. Like in anything, if you're gonna give time, you have to enjoy it. You have to love it. And if you're not loving it, then find something else that brings you joy and happiness, because I don't think you can't actually get better or give the time and give the energy. It's like, learning the guitars, like Kelsey's great at it because she's spent hours and hours and like all of that. I haven't learned it because 1, I can't do it, but 2, I'm not passionate about to do it. So you have to like love and be passionate about it to give it that extra sacrifice to be good. And I then think also when opportunities arise through even my whole career and life journey, like it might be because someone's injured, it might be because you were the second pick or whatever. Whenever an opportunity opens, you just got to take it and be ready to take it. So don't be like, oh, woe is me, I didn't make the team and I'm not going to like, no, if you want it, you will spend those hours, you will get better. So when your time is right, you're ready and you can absolutely own it.
There you go, folks. Madi Browne, it's been a pleasure. 2-time Liz Ellis Diamond champion on the episode. Thank you so much for coming on the Unlaced podcast. You're an absolute superstar in the sport and continuing to pave a way now behind the mic. So it was a joy talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me.